I'm sorry for what I've done. There's no excuses for what has happened.
And thank you. And attorneys for the co-defendant Austin Myers had similar arguments when it came to the interrogation.
And stepdad, Austin Myers, wanted to kill his own mom and stepdad after killing Justin Back just 15 minutes.
And Mike, Austin Myers had another shot today. He asked the judge to spare his life. His 15-year-old brother, they all said he was disappointed in what he did, but they say they still love him and believe.
My mom and my dad, my brothers Bryce and Josh over there, and Carson.
The sentencing phase starts Monday morning, and the jury will consider 3 different life sentences and the death penalty.
It was a freezing winter morning, January 28, 2014, when something truly awful went down in Waynesville, Ohio. This quiet little town in Warren County was about to become the center of a national tragedy, and nobody saw it coming. Justin Michael Back, only 18 years old and born on February 13, 1995, was on the brink of his life's journey. But on that day, life threw him an incredibly cruel curveball. He became the victim of a brutal, senseless act of violence that shook not just his family, but the whole tight-knit Waynesville community. So here's the scoop. 2 young guys, Austin Gregory Myers and Timothy E. Mosley, were the architects of this horrifying crime. They had this wild plan to steal a safe from Justin's family home, but trust me, the consequences of their actions went way beyond what they could have imagined. What made this case stand out was the jaw-dropping difference in the sentences handed to these 2 offenders. It was a massive injustice that made headlines all over the country. People were outraged and questioning the fairness of our justice system. Background: Myers and Back, inseparable in 7th and 8th grade, both attending the same middle school. They had a shared history, shared memories, and shared dreams, but little did they know that their lives were about to take a dark and twisted turn that would shatter the very essence of their friendship. Back, a graduate of Waynesville High School in 2013, was on the cusp of something big. He was set to enter the Navy, with a promising future ahead. But as fate would have it, he was unwittingly drawn to a sinister plot that would cost him his life. It all started when Myers approached Mosley with a proposition that seemed too tempting to resist, an opportunity to make some quick cash. The allure of easy money was too powerful to ignore, and Mosley's interest was piqued. Little did they know that this decision would set off a chain of events that would lead them down a nightmarish path. Their initial plan was nothing short of audacious: to rob a drug dealer. It was a reckless idea born out of desperation, but they quickly realized that danger lurked around every corner. So they shifted their sights to an even riskier target: Back's own stepfather, Mark Cates. Myers was convinced that Cates held the key to their financial salvation, hidden away in a safe at the family home. Inside that safe, a staggering $20,000 in cold hard cash and a firearm. The allure of such a treasure was irresistible, and it planted the seed of a sinister scheme that would haunt them forever. The 2 of them, consumed by the desire for riches, set out to execute their nefarious plan. They drove to Back's home in Waynesville with robbery on their minds, but as fate would have it, they arrived to find Back at home. The risk of robbing the safe with Back under the same roof was too great, and they abandoned their mission. However, what happened next is nothing short of diabolical. As they left Back's home, their desperation reached its zenith. Myers, the puppet master of this macabre play, suggested a gruesome alternative. They should slay Back. Yes, you heard that right. From robbery to cold-blooded slaying in the blink of an eye. Myers' plan was chilling in its simplicity. He intended to strangle Back with a wire. This was no impulsive act. It was premeditated slaying in its most sinister form. To carry out this heinous deed, Myers purchased a 3-foot steel cable and 2 metal rope cleats. These were the tools of demise they would employ in their darkest hour. They meticulously crafted what could only be described as a garrote, a demise contraption designed to snuff out Back's life. Their intent was not just to end his existence, but to stage a heartless cover-up. Myers envisioned a scenario where Back would appear as if he had stolen the safe and fled from home, leaving a trail of false leads and shattered lives in his wake. The following day, the atmosphere was thick with tension as they prepared to carry out their gruesome plan. 2 childhood friends turned co-conspirators, united by greed and driven to commit an unspeakable act,
Including aggravated murder, kidnapping, and aggravated burglary. He showed no emotion when the verdict was read.
I'm only 19 years old. I think there's a lot of good things.
Any further to any more innocent people. The terrible.
His stepdad saying he has a safe, he keeps it cracked open, and he has a gun, and a
today. The teenager calmly told the jury how it all happened.
All I'm asking you for is a chance for me to become a better person.
It's the kind of dark and twisted narrative that feels like it belongs in the pages of a chilling thriller, not in the annals of real life. The story takes a chilling turn from here. The details only get darker and more unfathomable, leaving us questioning what could possibly drive individuals from a bond of childhood friendship to a pact of such intent. Was it the corrosive effects of greed, the overwhelming weight of desperation, or something even more sinister lurking beneath the surface? It leaves us with a haunting question. How well do we truly know the people around us? In this story, trust and friendship crumbled in the face of insatiable greed, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. It's an intense, spine-tingling reminder that the line between innocence and malevolence can be disturbingly thin.
Emotional day for the family of a Warren County murder victim. For the second day, they were in court as one of the men accused of killing.
With a garrote, a homemade garrote. When that was not successful, this defendant
describe how much we miss our son. I hope that one day that you will tell us why you helped to...
Goals. The only goals that you and Austin had were bad. Just thank God they were.
But there's very little debate about what that sentence will be. The maximum sentence is life without the possibility of parole.
After Austin Myers was sentenced yesterday, the prosecutor told us that Myers had discussed plans to kill his mother.
Slaying. On the fateful morning of January 28, 2014, a sinister plot began to unfold as two individuals, Myers and Mosley, embarked on a chilling mission. Their ominous shopping list included septic enzymes, ammonia, septic tank cleaner, and rubber gloves, items that would soon play a sinister role in their nefarious plans. As they gathered these seemingly innocuous supplies, they were laying the groundwork for a horrific crime that would shock a community and shatter lives. The setting for this gruesome tale was Back's home, a place that would soon become the scene of a nightmarish crime. Myers and Mosley, driven by a sinister purpose, arrived at Back's residence around 1 p.m., concealing their dark intentions beneath a facade of normalcy. Their plan was chillingly simple. Myers would serve as the decoy, distracting Back, while Mosley, armed with a garrote and a 6-inch pocket knife, would execute the heinous act of strangulation. Myers, the unsuspecting harbinger of doom, approached Back's front door and knocked. Back, perhaps unaware of the sinister undercurrents at play, welcomed Myers and Mosley into his family home.
Well, guys, for the first time, the jury heard from Austin Myers himself. He spoke to them for about 3 minutes,
including aggravated murder, kidnapping, and aggravated burglary. He showed no emotion when the verdict was read.
Likely that Austin Myers will ever walk the earth again as a free.
His 15-year-old brother, they all said he was disappointed in what he did, but they say they still love him and believe
lives, and I can't imagine what they're going through, but we did achieve justice for Justin tonight.
The sentencing phase starts Monday morning, and the jury will consider 3 different life sentences and the death penalty.
Little did he know that these seemingly ordinary visitors had a malevolent design on his life. The 3 men engaged in casual conversation, disguising the malevolence lurking beneath the surface. As the conversation unfolded, Back, perhaps innocently, retreated to the kitchen. It was at this moment that Mosley seized the opportunity to strike. With a cold determination, he launched his attack from behind, attempting to strangle Back. Simultaneously, Myers grappled with Back from the front, ensnaring him in a web of betrayal. A desperate struggle ensued, the sounds of which must have echoed through the otherwise quiet home as Back fought valiantly for his life. In the midst of the chaotic struggle, a critical error was made. The garrote intended to end Back's life was improperly positioned, crossing his chin rather than securing a lethal grip around his neck. Panic seized Mosley as he realized the stakes of their sinister endeavor. In this moment of desperation, he reached for his pocket knife, a cruel instrument that would soon become the weapon of choice in this gruesome act. The atmosphere inside the home must have been charged with fear and tension as Mosley, driven to the brink, thrust the knife into Back's vulnerable form from behind. The unthinkable had occurred. A life had been extinguished, and a gruesome crime had irrevocably altered the course of history. But the nightmare was far from over. The duo was not satisfied with just one act of violence.
No, made their first court appearance. 9 on Your Side reporter Kendall Harold is in Warren County. She has the latest information.
Hardworking, a teen who just joined the Navy and was only 2 weeks away from leaving for training. And Mike, Tim Mosley will be spending life in prison without the possibility. And also at today's funeral, members of the U.S. Navy and Warren.
I'm sorry for what I've done. There's no excuses for what has happened.
With Tim speaking today, it took another weight off. You know, it's different when...
Johnson, thank you very much. Myers is now the youngest person in Ohio on death row.
After that part of it where I just paused it, does he then go in and provide details to you about the murder?
Thank you. And attorneys for the co-defendant Austin Myers had similar arguments when it came to the interrogation.
With Back now lifeless on the floor, the duo's focus shifted. They scoured the house in search of a safe, a macabre treasure hunt that revealed their ruthlessness. The safe, however, remained securely locked, a frustrating obstacle in their quest for ill-gotten gains. The unfolding horror did not deter Myers, who stumbled upon another ominous discovery, a handgun, the property of an unsuspecting individual named Cates. Without hesitation, Myers loaded the weapon, adding another layer of danger to their already perilous situation. Returning to the grim scene in the kitchen, Myers and Mosley confronted the aftermath of their brutality. They attempted to erase any traces of their malevolence by deploying ammonia as a makeshift cleaner, a futile effort to conceal their sinister deeds. Back's lifeless body, a haunting testament of their evil, was wrapped in a blanket and unceremoniously placed in the trunk of Mosley's car. Their looting spree continued as they ransacked the house, pillaging a safe filled with valuables, jewelry, and credit cards. The depths of their depravity knew no bounds, as Myers also packed bags with Back's clothing, a chilling reminder of the humanity they had so callously discarded. With their plundered spoils and the lifeless body of their victim in tow, Myers and Mosley retreated from the house, leaving behind a trail of darkness and despair. The time of their departure was approximately 2 p.m., marking the end of a gruesome chapter in the annals of criminal history. The events of that fateful day in 2014 serve as a chilling reminder of the capacity for evil that can reside within the hearts of individuals. It is a stark illustration of the lengths to which some will go to satisfy their malevolent desires. The details of this gruesome crime, from the calculated planning to the brutal ending, are a haunting testament to the darkest aspects of human nature. In the wake of such horror, the community was left to grapple with the aftermath, and the lives of those touched by this heinous act were forever scarred. The memory of January 28, 2014 will forever be etched in the annals of history as a day when the boundaries of morality were irrevocably shattered, leaving a community to confront the horrifying reality of the human capacity for malevolence.
It goes by that it doesn't haunt me of what I did, and there's absolutely no excuse, and I just want
punishment. The 20-year-old avoided the death penalty, but he will spend the rest of his life in prison.
Of parole during sentencing today here in Lebanon, he said he was sorry, but he could not answer the one
why I did it, and I just can't give you that answer right now. I hope someday that I will be able to give you that.
Even more so than the death penalty, because it is a hopeless and indefinite sentence.
Them back, but it helps with healing. It doesn't bring closure, but it brings some healing.
Austin Myers was sentenced to death. In Mosley's case, prosecutors took the death penalty off the table.
Aftermath. After the slaying, Mosley and Myers cruising down the road. Seems like a regular drive, right? But here's where things start to take a dark turn. Mosley, he starts getting all paranoid, thinking someone's tailing them. So what's their brilliant idea? They decide to ditch the main roads and take some side routes, trying to shake off this imaginary pursuer. Eventually, they end up in the middle of nowhere, a remote area that's about as desolate as it gets. They pull over and Mosley, I guess, is convinced they need to check if there's any blood outside their car. Yeah, seriously, like something straight out of a crime drama. Can't say I've ever had that thought while out on a drive. Now Myers, he's on a mission. He starts rummaging through their bags, probably looking for anything valuable. Lo and behold, he strikes gold, or should I say, cash. Back's wallet, stuffed with over $100, is hiding in one of those bags. Myers doesn't waste any time, he snatches the wallet. So what's the next move, you ask? Well, these two shady characters head back to Mosley's place, carrying their loot from the car. You can't help but wonder what they're planning, right? They haul a safe up to the stairs together, and then, for some reason, decide to change their clothes. Yeah, because nothing says innocent like changing your outfit after doing something suspicious. Now Mosley starts getting all cunning. He knows this area like the back of his hand, and he's got an idea about what to do with Back's body. He suggests they dump it somewhere near West Alexandria. Makes you wonder how many times he's thought about that before. So off they go, into a field near the village of Gratis in Preble County. Mosley parks the car about 20 feet from a log. They haul Back's body to that log and lay it down on the ground. Sounds like something straight out of a crime movie, doesn't it?
Afternoon, Judge Oda heard from Myers as well as Justin Back's family.
Austin could have stopped. We have memories, but we will have no more with our son because of the choices that you made, Austin.
I'm only 19 years old. I think there's a lot of good things.
And stepdad. Austin Myers wanted to kill his own mom and stepdad after killing Justin Back just 15 minutes.
The court finds that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the aggravating circumstance outweighs the mitigating.
That his plea agreement would be that if we dismissed all charges against him, that he...
But wait, there's more. Myers decides it's time to get creative. He pours ammonia and septic enzymes on the body. Mind you, this guy's still wearing his clothes and is partially wrapped up in a blanket. So, it's like they're trying to cover their tracks with some weird chemical concoction. And then it takes a real dark turn. According to Mosley, Myers wants to shoot the body. Like, shoot it? So Mosley goes and fetches a stolen gun from the car and hands it over to Myers. Myers fires not one but 2 shots into Back's body. Third shot, the gun jams. Can't say I'm sorry about that, though. Myers manages to clear the jam and ejects the bullet onto the ground. You can guess who found that later. The police, of course. Now here's where things get even crazier. After they've hidden the body, Myers has this brilliant idea. He suggests they slay Cates, their friend, to make it look like he offed Back and then vanished into thin air. Yeah, seriously messed up stuff. Luckily, they decide against it, which is probably the only smart move they make throughout this whole ordeal. So they drive to a park in Brookville, Ohio, where Mosley tosses Back's laptop into a dumpster. I guess that's supposed to be part of covering their tracks too. Then they decide they need a crowbar, so they head to Englewood, presumably to crack open that safe they've been lugging around. But here's the kicker. Instead of finding the $20,000 Myers had promised, the safe is a major letdown. It's filled with paperwork, loose change, bullets, gun accessories, and all sorts of random junk. Talk about anticlimactic. They sift through the stuff, thinking about what they can sell and what's worth keeping. After all that disappointment, they've got one last plan in mind. They decide to burn the papers, several trash bags that contain evidence of their crime, and the bloody clothes they were wearing. They do this in a fire pit right in Mosley's backyard, like they're trying to erase every trace of their wrongdoing. Oh, but they're not done yet. They gather up everything that looks remotely valuable from the house and the safe and stuff it into a bag. Then they take a little road trip to Tip City, Ohio, and toss Cates' safe into a river. I mean, it's like something out of a twisted movie, right? The lengths these guys went to cover their tracks is just mind-boggling. It's like they were playing a game of cat and mouse with the law, and they weren't going down without a fight, or at least they thought they weren't. But as you can probably guess, things like this rarely stay hidden forever. Eventually the truth came to light and justice was served. It's a wild, unsettling story, one that makes you question what goes on in some people's heads.
The Waynesville community coming together to say goodbye to one of its own. 18-year-old Justin Back was laid to rest today.
Turnout today in Waynesville for the teen who was remembered as dedicated and hardworking. A teen who just
didn't matter whether it was going to be the Navy or whether it was fire service, EMS, whatever. He was a dedicated young man.
County's honor guard. Justin was buried not too far from his home at Miami Cemetery.
Investigation. On a seemingly ordinary day, Cates returned home from work at around 3:30 p.m., only to be confronted with a disconcerting discovery. Something was amiss in his home, a table had been moved, and several rugs were conspicuously missing. As the realization of the unsettling situation began to sink in, Cates and his wife soon made a far more alarming discovery. Their safe and a handgun were both conspicuously absent. Panic set in, and with a sense of urgency, they promptly contacted the local authorities, alerting them to the mysterious disappearance of their belongings and the apparent intrusion into their home. As the police arrived to initiate their investigation, Cates and his wife, undoubtedly anxious and perplexed, also attempted to contact an individual named Back. However, their efforts proved futile as they soon realized that Back's cell phone had been carelessly left behind inside the house, further deepening the enigma surrounding the entire situation. The initial stages of the investigation were marked by a critical piece of information provided by the observant officers at the scene. They described a distinctive vehicle that had been seen parked outside Back's residence. The car bore peculiar characteristics that made it stand out: a missing back window, crudely covered with plastic and red tape. This unusual vehicle would later become a pivotal clue in unraveling the sequence of events. During the course of their inquiry, Cates shared a crucial detail with the police: the fact that a certain individual named Myers had paid a visit to their home just the day before in that very same car. This revelation immediately raised suspicions about Myers and his potential involvement in the unfolding events. The Warren County Sheriff's detectives, now armed with this lead, embarked on a mission to locate Myers and the suspicious vehicle that seemed to be intricately tied to the case. The search for Myers and the enigmatic vehicle soon bore fruit when Clayton police officers managed to track down the car in question. In a significant turn of events, Myers was apprehended at a residence belonging to someone named Mosley. This development marked a critical juncture in the investigation, as the Warren County detectives were promptly notified of Myers' detention. The wheels of justice were set in motion as detectives prepared to interview Myers and delve deeper into the perplexing circumstances surrounding Back's disappearance and the burglary of his home. Myers, initially maintaining his innocence, soon found himself at the Clayton police station on January 29, subjected to rigorous questioning by the detectives. In the face of mounting pressure and mounting evidence, Myers eventually broke down and confessed to a startling revelation. He had been present when Mosley, in a shocking act of violence, had fatally knifed Back. He insisted that he had no prior knowledge of Mosley's intentions or the reasons behind the brutal slaying. Myers categorically denied any involvement in shooting Back's lifeless body, instead attributing that gruesome act to Mosley. As the detectives diligently pursued the truth, a peculiar twist emerged from the adjacent holding cells. Mosley, confined in close proximity to Myers, overheard Myers' incriminating statements, which placed the entirety of the blame on him for the slaying.
And Mike, Austin Myers had another shot today. He asked the judge to spare his life.
My mom and my dad. My brothers Bryce and Josh over there. And Carson.
In the fight, I pulled out my knife and started to stab Justin in the back.
Cammie. The people that I love.
It was, if any, as we were, obviously Justin was...
Any further to any more innocent people. The terrible...
A few moments after, Justin was trying to ask us why, to
help stop tragedies like this from happening.
It was a pivotal moment in the investigation, as Mosley, aware of the gravity of the situation, opted to come clean and confess to the heinous crime. However, in a bid to mitigate his culpability, Mosley shifted the focus of his confession to Myers, implicating him in the planning of the burglary that had preceded the slaying. This startling revelation presented a complex and increasingly convoluted narrative for the detectives to untangle. With Mosley's confession in hand, they returned to interview Myers once more. This time, Myers' story underwent another significant transformation. He admitted to shooting Back's lifeless body, but claimed that this act was merely a misguided attempt at misdirection. Despite this admission, Myers continued to vehemently deny any involvement in restraining Back during the slaying. He insisted that he had been completely unaware of the knifing at the time, recounting his state of shock and disbelief upon witnessing the horrifying sight of blood. The same day, in a chilling turn of events, Preble County Sheriff's deputies made a gruesome discovery. They located Back's lifeless body, thanks to approximate directions provided by Myers. A Montgomery County coroner would later conduct a thorough autopsy, revealing the grim truth. Back had met a tragic end, succumbing to multiple knife wounds. In essence, the perplexing case of Back's disappearance and subsequent slaying unfolded as a complex web of conflicting statements, shifting narratives, and an intricate interplay of individuals involved in the unfolding tragedy. From the initial shock of discovering the burglary of their home to the grim revelation of Back's violent demise, this harrowing tale presented a challenging puzzle for the diligent detectives tasked with unearthing the truth. Each revelation and confession brought new layers of complexity, leaving investigators to piece together a narrative of events that would ultimately culminate in the pursuit of justice for the victim and the determination of culpability for those involved.
So ridiculous that I don't see how anybody could have looked at that evidence and concluded anything other than...
The defendant does not understand how precious life is.
According to Tim Mosley, he said he wanted to go get his gun out of pawn in Dayton.
Says she wants her son to be remembered as an innocent young man, a self-proclaimed mama's boy.
We're happy with it, but again, it's sad at the same time. because this could have been.
I'm open to that. Send me a letter. That's fine.
Justin Back was just 10 days away from going into the Navy when to help other kids and keep his memory alive.
Trial. This case garnered significant attention due to the stark contrast in sentences handed down to the two individuals involved, as well as its profound impact on Ohio state law. Justin Back's story serves as a chilling reminder of the consequences of violence, the complexities of plea bargains, and the enduring debate surrounding the demise penalty. The tragedy unfolded when Justin Back fell victim to a brutal slaying. The perpetrators, Austin Myers and Timothy Mosley, were both teenagers at the time, aged 19 and 18 respectively. However, their fates would diverge dramatically, marking the beginning of a legal and ethical quandary that would captivate the nation's attention. On October 17, 2014, Austin Myers was sentenced to demise for his role in the slaying of Justin Back. At the tender age of 19, he became the youngest inmate on Roe in Ohio. The gravity of his sentence was not lost on the public, as questions arose about the appropriateness of such a severe punishment for someone so young. Advocates against the demise penalty pointed to Myers as a prime example of the inherent flaws in the system, arguing that it was fundamentally unjust to condemn a teenager to demise. In stark contrast, Timothy Mosley received a sentence of life without the possibility of parole. This significant disparity in sentencing raised eyebrows and sparked widespread debate. The glaring question of why two individuals who had participated in the same crime received such disparate punishments. The answer lay in the plea bargain that Mosley had accepted. The concept of plea bargains is a cornerstone of the American legal system, designed to expedite the judicial process and secure convictions. However, in cases like this one, where a slayer receives a less severe sentence than a co-defendant due to cooperation with authorities, it becomes a source of contention. Mosley's decision to cooperate and testify against Myers effectively spared him from the penalty, leading to a life sentence instead. Critics argued that this incentivized individuals like Mosley to implicate their co-defendants in exchange for leniency, potentially leading to unjust outcomes. The aftermath of Justin Back's slaying also catalyzed legislative action. Ohio lawmakers responded by proposing changes to state law aimed at increasing penalties for slaying, a bill that would come to be known as Justin's Law in honor of the victim.
I can only imagine what it would be like to lose one of them.
His stepdad saying he has a safe, he keeps it cracked open, and he has a gun and a lot of money.
To lose your son, I can't imagine. To lose your brother.
On the chin. So I start to freak out. I'm just like, shit, this isn't going as planned. I don't know what to do. It's too late to fucking.
All I'm asking you for is a chance for me to become a better person.
This proposed legislation aimed to address the perceived inadequacies in the legal framework surrounding slaying cases, seeking to ensure that justice was served more consistently. Justin Back's final resting place is in Miami Cemetery in Corwin, Warren County, Ohio, a poignant reminder of a life cut short and the enduring impact of his tragic demise. The case has left an indelible mark on Ohio's legal landscape and ignited discussions about the appropriateness of the penalty, the use of plea bargains, and the quest for justice in the face of such gruesome crimes. As of the present day, Austin Myers remains on Roe, awaiting ending, while Timothy Mosley serves his life sentence in Ross Correctional Institution, both located in Chillicothe, Ohio. The juxtaposition of their sentences continues to serve as a symbol of the complexities inherent in the American criminal justice system. In conclusion, the case of Justin Back's slaying is a harrowing tale of tragedy, legal maneuvering, and the broader societal implications of such crimes. It highlights the ongoing debate over the penalty, the role of plea bargains in securing convictions, and the quest for justice for victims and their families. Justin Back's name lives on through Justin's Law, a testament to the enduring impact of his untimely demise and the quest to prevent such tragedies in the future.
Who killed an 18-year-old Waynesville man enters his guilty plea. Timothy Mosley pleaded guilty this morning to
for murdering Justin Back. Justin's mother spoke to 9 on Your Side moments later.
To see him see his full potential as a sailor, husband, and a father.
Pain and suffering for another family.
Lives destroyed by this, and it was just for nothing. I mean, there was no money in the safe. There was nothing in there.
If not for Justin, why didn't you think about what this would do to your family?
Court upholds the sentence. The sentence is appropriate for a man who planned a slaying and restrained the victim as he was fatally knifed. Even though the man who wielded the knife received a life sentence instead, the Ohio Supreme Court ruled Thursday. The court's unanimous decision rejected arguments by Roe inmate Austin Myers that his sentence is disproportionate because of the life sentence given to co-defendant Tim Mosley. Myers, now 23, was sentenced to die for the January 8, 2014 slaying in southwestern Ohio of childhood friend Justin Back, who was about to enter the Navy. Records show Myers held back while Mosley knifed him. If the main offender gets life without parole and the accomplice gets demise, it is patently unfair, Myers' attorneys argued in a 2016 filing with the court. A message seeking comment on Thursday's ruling was left with Myers' attorney. Justice Patrick DeWine, writing Thursday's opinion, cited evidence of Myers' extensive involvement in the planning and ending of Back's slaying in rejecting that argument. Myers came up with the idea of stealing a safe in Back's home and slaying Back to get it, rejected his co-defendant's proposal to enter the home when no one was there, and brainstormed a plan to use a homemade garrote to strangle the victim. During the slaying, Myers restrained Back while Mosley slipped the garrote over Back's head and continued to restrain him when Mosley, having failed in his attempt to strangle Back, pulled his knife and began knifing him, DeWine wrote. Prosecutors had argued the court couldn't weigh proportion in the case because no factors for or against a sentence were presented in Mosley's case, since he pleaded guilty.
Before it even happened. But I can't. I hate for
led up to this. So we went back on Tuesday.
I'm gonna cause more pain and suffering for another family.
I had enough time. I stabbed him. I don't know exactly. No,
In Myers' defense, his attorney cited the case of Jason Getze, executed in 2009 for slaying the Ohio mother of the intended target of a slaying-for-hire scheme. In that case, the mastermind of the attack, John Santine, was sentenced to life without parole. Based on that case, Myers should have received life without parole and not a demise sentence, his attorneys argue. DeWine said the Getze case actually undercuts Myers' argument because the state Supreme Court found it troubling that the attack's planner did not receive a demise sentence. As a result, the Getze case argues that the person who instigates and plans an aggravated slaying may be at least as culpable as the one who actually carries it out, DeWine wrote. The court also rejected arguments that Myers' youth at the time, 19, should be given more weight because the U.S. Supreme Court has banned executing people for crimes committed under the age of 18.
Two men accused of brutally killing a man and dumping his body in the snow made their first court appearance.
This morning, the courtroom was filled with friends and family, all in support of two accused killers who police...
LWT News 5 was in court today as portions of the recordings were played in court. Once the defense now...
The length of time Mosley spent in an interrogation room after he asked for an attorney.
I wanted to talk. I do. That's why I'm here.
An attorney. Nothing was done to obtain an attorney for him by you or by...
Also want some witness statements tossed out, claiming they were taken in a subjective manner and tainted by the media.
That happens, their case will be bound over to another court. The Warren County Grand Jury meets tomorrow.
Seeking delay in ending. Austin Myers finds himself entangled in a complex legal battle as his attorneys tirelessly seek to stay the ending of his demise sentence, originally scheduled for July 20, 2022 by the Ohio Supreme Court. Myers had the unfortunate distinction of being the youngest person on row when he entered the prison system, a grim testament to the gravity of his situation. Myers' legal team filed a motion in an attempt to secure a stay of ending pending the exhaustion of all available post-conviction relief options, including appeals. Their argument hinges on the assertion that Myers should not face ending until he has gone through one round of post-conviction relief and filed one motion for delayed reconsideration in the Court of Appeals. This strategy is grounded in the belief that with pending post-conviction proceedings still far from completion, a continuing stay of ending is warranted. The motion highlights Myers' ongoing appeal to the Ohio Supreme Court, which was initiated on April 21 and remains pending. In the eyes of his attorneys, the existence of these timely post-conviction proceedings justifies their request for an extended stay of ending. However, the Warren County prosecutor, David Fornshell, views this motion as a procedural step in a case that is still in its early stages within the appeals process. He maintains his commitment to pushing the case forward, setting the stage for a legal battle that is far from over. To understand the gravity of Myers' situation, we must revisit the events leading to his conviction and sentencing. In October 2014, Myers was found guilty of the knifing demise of Justin Back, which occurred in January of the same year at Back's home near Waynesville. This brutal slaying took place during a robbery, with another individual, Timothy Mosley, physically carrying out the slaying. However, investigators argued that Myers instigated the crime, making him culpable for the heinous act. Trial testimony revealed that Myers had meticulously planned the crime. It was Myers who had hatched the scheme, even though it was Mosley who ultimately knifed Back to demise during a violent struggle. The chilling sequence of events unfolded in the kitchen, with Back being choked with a garrote before the fatal knifing occurred. Myers' sentence was the harshest possible, demise.
Is shocking and sometimes difficult to listen to. Admitted killer Timothy Mosley gave jurors step-by-step
involved in it. Good evening, I'm Mike Dardis.
And I'm Cherie Palello. Today, the teenager calmly told the jury how it all happened.
Go into the house, Austin was going to distract Justin, and then I was going to come up behind him.
Bring Justin back. It's only going to hurt more innocent people.
He told me that I had missed his throat and that it was wrapped around his chin, and I told him.
However, his latest appeal offers a glimmer of hope, as it allows him to present evidence that has not been used in previous appeals, specifically pertaining to his mental health. A March 2021 court ruling paved the way for this crucial development in his case. To comprehend the complexities of this tragedy, one must consider the backstory. Myers and Back had been friends until the 8th grade when Myers relocated to Clayton and began attending Northmont High School. Testimony during the trial indicated that Myers was the mastermind behind targeting Back's home, oblivious to the fact that the family safe contained a mere $70 at the time. What followed was 2 days of chilling preparation, including the acquisition of septic chemicals that Myers believed would aid in the decomposition of Back's body. The grim ordeal continued as they shot the lifeless body before disposing of it in the woods of Preble County. Back, just 18 years old at the time, was a 2013 graduate of Waynesville High School on the cusp of embarking on a journey into the U.S. Navy. Timothy Mosley, Myers' accomplice, took a different legal route. He pleaded guilty and was subsequently sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Crucially, Mosley agreed to testify against Myers during the trial, contributing to the mounting evidence against him. While the Ohio Supreme Court has previously upheld Myers' conviction and sentence, changes in state law led to a significant development in the 12th District Court of Appeals. This court ruled that the trial court had erred in dismissing Myers' petition, which claimed that his defense had failed to present expert testimony during the penalty phase regarding adolescent brain development, in conjunction with his age and mental health issues. As a result, the appeals court made the decision to return the penalty appeal to the trial court for further hearings, injecting a fresh sense of hope into Myers' defense. In the legal wrangling that has ensued, one cannot ignore the moral and ethical questions surrounding the penalty itself. The case of Austin Myers forces us to confront the profound implications of executing a person who committed a heinous crime at a young age.
To death. A Warren County jury took 6 hours to decide that 19-year-old Austin Myers deserves to die for murder.
We therefore unanimously find the sentence of death be imposed upon Austin Myers.
It won't hurt me. I won't feel anything. It's going to hurt more innocent people.
Tim Mosley pleaded guilty to almost all the charges that he faced, and prosecutors spelled out in court that he played the primary role.
Take such a wonderful life.
You've extinguished a life that was going to do good. Justin had goals.
After the murder of Justin Back, the prosecutor has indicated that is why a deal was struck with Mosley.
The evolving understanding of adolescent brain development and its impact on decision-making raises important questions about culpability and the appropriateness of imposing the ultimate punishment on individuals like Myers. The case of Austin Myers is a complex and emotionally charged legal battle. Myers' attorneys are fighting relentlessly to stay his ending while pursuing avenues for post-conviction relief. The tragic events that led to his conviction and sentence serve as a stark reminder of the consequences of violent crimes. Yet as his case moves forward through the legal system, it also prompts us to reflect on the broader issues surrounding the penalty, such as the evolving understanding of brain development and its implications for criminal culpability. The outcome of Myers' legal journey will undoubtedly continue to draw attention and spark important debates on these crucial issues. Media coverage. The widespread coverage reached its zenith when the British Broadcasting Corporation chose to feature it prominently as part of their documentary series on capital punishment in the United States titled Life and Row. In the second series of this gripping documentary, specifically in Episode 3, the BBC delved into the intricate facets of the case. shedding light on the complexities of the American criminal justice system. That's all for this video, folks. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.